In Minecraft, there are a lot of hot debates about all sorts of Minecrafty topics. The best ways to play the game, features that should or shouldn't be added, your most disliked mobs, or if keeping auto jump enabled is enough to get you declared clinically insane. It's time we rip off the band-aid and see both sides of some of Minecraft's most divisive questions. I'll be your host, Simply Sark, and let's begin. Today we'll be asking 10 questions and looking at both points of view, in support and in opposition. You may agree with one, disagree with another, or have a different view entirely. Feel free to share your 2 cents, and if you have your own burning question, let me know on Twitter at SimplySark, and we might just talk about it in the future. Debate number 1. The ether belongs in vanilla. 4. The Minecraft Ether is one of the game's oldest and most beloved mods. It was created to act as an opposite to the Nether dimension. It was executed so well that many naive Minecraft noobs actually thought it was part of the game when they saw YouTubers using it in their videos. That's got to be quite the compliment to the creator, KingBDogs, who is now actually working on Minecraft itself as a dev. Surely, with all these stars aligning, the Ether mod has one of the best shots of any mods to actually get added to the vanilla game. Against. The Ether is still, at the end of the day, a third-party modification that was developed separately from the actual game. Its values and principles may be quite different internally to the vanilla game, and trying to mix the two may never work well for either. Additionally, while KingBDogs is now working on the game itself, that doesn't necessarily mean they're even interested in merging the two. There can be all sorts of issues trying to implement other people's intellectual properties, and even still, many people like to keep their work, hobbies and passions separate from one another, being able to work on things in their own way, their own rules and own pace. Debate number 2. Spawners should be movable. 4. Monster spawners have become one of the most sought after blocks in the game. They generate infinite loot, good source of XP, and are fun to build a mechanism around. If you are lucky enough to find a spawner, you should be able to move it wherever you please. If you find multiple spawners, you as the player should be allowed to harvest these blocks for all they're worth. You went through all the trouble of finding them. If you want a 20 block mega spawner, that should be up to you, the player. Against. A game has rules and limits, and you should have to work within their confines and adapt yourself around them. Spawners being immobile means you must explore and develop parts of your Minecraft world you may well never have even touched. If everything can be consolidated into a small area, you may find yourself not bothering with building much beyond the bare essentials. Monster spawners are already generous enough. If they gave even more loot and experience, everything might become too easy and accessible. Debate number 3. Symmetrical is better. 4. The human brain loves seeing patterns in the world, and the very same can be said for the Minecraft world. Being able to create a mirror image of part of a build shows thought, planning and consideration was put into it. Measurements were made and double, even triple checked. All details perfected and accounted for, a true display of your mastery of the craft. Not only do you know what you're doing, you're in complete and utter control. At this level, you're toying with 3D space. Against. Asymmetry is where the true masters reside. Symmetry and patterns are for the wary and unambitious, those too afraid to break the rules and venture off the beaten path. Toying with 3D space is making that unorthodox curve and understanding how the next 10 steps are going to make this work, even when things are looking dire right now. Symmetry is robotic and unnatural. The Minecraft world is chaos. True symmetry and perfection are fantasies. You may create small imitations of symmetry, but you'll never, ever achieve it. Asymmetry is the secret to great builds. Debate number 4. Diamonds appear near gravel. Against. Diamonds spawning near gravel is a complete and utter myth from eons ago. There has never been a single line of code in the game that has made diamond generation and gravel generation interact in any way at all. The ores generate between a certain Y level in a certain volume over various chunks. There is no mention in the code that diamonds should appear next to or close to gravel mounds underground. It's a total fabrication. 4. While there is no specific code that mentions it, our human brain can still sense there's something astray here. The point is, if you're looking for diamonds, the more exposed air there is in a cave, the more likely uncovered diamonds are going to be found. Because gravel cascades and rapidly exposes more air, it makes total sense that, by proxy, these huge gravel pockets are more likely to have diamonds hiding behind them. Maybe there's diamonds hiding behind that random patch of stone over there, but because the gravel's in the way, we're much more likely to clear the gravel patch instead of the stone patch. It's true, diamonds are never far from gravel. Debate number 5. Java is better than Bedrock. 4. Java is, for many, the quintessential version of Minecraft. It's the original, where the game was born, and where it truly belongs. The platform means heavy modding is possible in ways Bedrock will never be. It's the Wild West, adaptable and forever versatile. Bedrock is just an imitation for mass appeal. It will never have the fine-tuned quirkiness that we've come to love from Java. Against. Bedrock is so optimized, it at times makes Java seem like a bad joke. It's designed for all sorts of devices and runs well on all of them. Without Bedrock and earlier iterations like Pocket Edition and Xbox editions, Minecraft never would have grown as large as it has. The Bedrock user base is much bigger than Java's. Bedrock made Minecraft accessible to all, and with crossplay, more people can play together and connect than ever before. Java is mostly about nostalgia, and if you joined the game in more recent times, you likely won't be too fussed about its history. Debate number 6. We need vertical slabs. 4. Vertical slabs and stairs have got to be one of the most talked about topics of all time in the Minecraft community. They come up so much, it'd be absurd to say the community isn't extremely interested in them. People have built so many amazing things with the limits of today, it's crazy to imagine what beautiful creations people might make with something like a vertical slab. There are now so many blocks that don't fit the 1-to-1 block scale that it's getting harder and harder to justify not finally adding them. Some might even say they're an essential piece of our block set that we've been deprived of for too long. Against. This is a slippery slope. Some say slabs and half blocks were a mistake that should never have been added in the first place, totally against Minecraft's style guide. It's hard to deny vertical slabs wouldn't not look good, but once we have them, will we be satisfied? Because do you know what else would look great? Quarter blocks. Imagine the level of detail we could achieve with quarter blocks. We've got all the half slabs now, isn't it time to go smaller? And where do you stop? Because even smaller fragments would be fantastic too. Minecraft is great in its simplicity, and straying too far might overcomplicate things. You need to put your foot down somewhere, and maybe right here is where it should be. Debate number 7. Is this word pronounced Mojang or Mojang? 4. In fairness, this word, the name of the company that makes Minecraft, originated in Sweden. In Swedish, this word is apparently pronounced Mojang with a Y. There are many soundbites of people like Notch and devs pronouncing it this way. And typically, when exporting a word from one language to another, it's customary to keep the original pronunciation. We English and American guys would by default say Mojang, but if the Swedes say it's Y, then it's Y. Against. On the other hand, a lot of things have changed about Minecraft's parent company over the years, and it would be disingenuous to say it's the same small Swedish indie company it was back in the day. They have offices on both sides of the Atlantic, and as the company has changed, perhaps so too has its identity and culture. Minecraft is much more global nowadays, so perhaps the old Swedish pronunciation is just that, an old relic from yesteryear. Debate number 8. Everything should be farmable. 4. What a beautiful sight when you finally finish a machine that does everything completely by itself. You've taken a bunch of mechanics, thrown them together, and made something that doesn't need any input. You did all of it yourself, and you don't need to lift a finger anymore. The game itself should be like that. Every aspect, if you want it to be, should be automatable completely. You should be able to advance so far that you can finally put your feet up and marvel at your genius. Against. Minecraft has probably stood for so long because there is always something to do. The game thrives off new jobs and goals, and should forever and always require at least a little bit of player input. We have some machines that run entirely by themselves, and that's great, but we should always be kept on our toes and have something to maintain and add to. If we didn't, the game would soon become stale, repetitive, and unchallenging. Automation is a great pastime, but games are made to be played, not to be played for you. Debate number 9. Underground bases are better than overground bases. 4. The great thing about building underground is the more you expand, the more resources you gain, which can then in turn be used to expand even more. A lot of the game is played beneath the surface, so it makes a lot of sense to become one with the earth and live there too. When you build underground, you don't have to deal with an exterior, you can just focus on what looks good inside. Not to mention, if you're trying to keep a low profile, underground is much easier to keep hidden. Against. Underground bases are a crutch to avoid having to make something functional and good looking. Overground means you need to actually build. An underground base can only be appreciated when inside, but an external base can be observed inside, outside, and from afar. It's much more challenging having to balance internal and external aesthetics, and when you build outside, you can expand much faster than having to dig up the ground. Overground bases are real bases. Debate number 10. Keep inventory true is cheating. 4. It's true. Minecraft is not that punishing of a game. It doesn't scold you too much for messing up, and you only lose progress in the most dangerous of situations. Losing your items is a core part of the game. If you've made a mistake, you need to deal with the consequences. Without that threat, there's no challenge to the game, and no incentive to avoid scenarios that were designed to make you think twice. Against. You're allowed to play Minecraft however you like. If you want pressure, you play hardcore. If you want a chilled, relaxed time, you play peaceful. If you want to change the rules to your playstyle, that's your choice and you should be allowed to decide. Minecraft is a very buggy and odd game at times, and losing your items in progress to an unfair glitch doesn't feel fun in the slightest. If watching hours of mining go down the drain because of sticky fingers is some people's idea of fun, that's great. They can play how they play, you can play how you play. Honestly though, these are just some of the Minecraft debates I've seen floating around. There are tons more that I'd love to have a look at in the future. As mentioned, if there are any hot topics you'd like to see talked about, you can hit me up on Twitter @SimplySark. And let me know where you fall on the debates we talked about today. I'd love to see what everyone thinks. Either way, I really hope you enjoy, guys. It's been great. I've been your host, Simply Sark, and I will catch you in the next one.